At Sense of Style, our purpose is to empower women to lead bold and full lives. We strive to bring you the latest in clothing and accessories in an accessible and affordable way. We believe that when you look good, you feel good, and then you have the power to do good to those around you.
Hello and welcome to the I Am Mom Summit. I am Courtney Brown and I am the CEO and founder of Sense of Style. And I am thrilled to get to be one of the keynote speakers at this year's I Am Mom Summit. I am a mother and a CEO, and I'm passionate about both roles. Today, I'm gonna get real and we're gonna have an honest conversation about feeling depleted and daily acts that you can engage in to replenish yourself. But first, let me introduce myself a little bit more in depth. Again, personally, my name is Courtney Brown and I'm the mother of 3 children. I am an adoptive mother. I'm a mother to an autistic child. We are a transracial family. I have a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And I've been married to my partner in all things, Mr. Sense of Style, John Brown, for 16 plus years. And on the business front, I am the CEO and founder of Sense of Style. Sense of Style is an online women's fashion brand with the purpose to empower women to lead bold and full lives. We think that fashion is a great vehicle to women's empowerment. It allows you to look good, feel good, and then do good in your life, and to own a little bit more of who you are. I've built Sense of Style over the past 12 years. In fact, on March 1st was the 12th anniversary of the founding of my company. It started as a side hustle and a creative outlet, and it's grown into a multi-million-dollar company with lots of employees and lots of responsibility. In fact, in 2017, the Mountain West Capital Network named Sense of Style the 18th fastest growing company in the state of Utah. We were then named to that top 100 list again last year in 2018. I'm a Sego Award finalist, and I'm not very good at talking about myself, but I have had some business success, but those titles and those things mean a lot to me and the success of Sense of Style and what we've been able to do to impact women's lives. But I was bound and determined to create a company where I didn't have to choose between motherhood and having a career. And that is the company in which I've set up. And that is the thing that I am probably the very most proud of. Proud that I get to be a CEO, but also that I get to be a mom to 3 of the most amazing children out there, Bella, Chase, and Ryder. Although I know you all feel the same way about your children, and that's the great part about being a mom. Like I told you, I want to talk to you today about a personal life experience that I just had. It's not an experience I've shared very much, but I felt called to talk to you about it today. I'm an achiever. It is one of my strengths. I set goals and I hit them. And over the past 12 years, I have built this company. And for any of you that are also moms and entrepreneurs, you know that it's very hard. And there are very blurred lines between those different roles. You act as mom, but you also act as CEO. And as an entrepreneur and as you're building a scaling and growing company, often there's a lot of stress involved and a lot of time and energy. It's not a 40-hour-a-week gig, just like being a mother is not a 40-hour-a-week gig. It's all day, all the time, being on and getting what needs to be done. And I've been going at a pretty frantic pace for about a decade. And at the beginning of 2018, I realized that I was in need of a change, that I had built this company that had scaled and grown and was doing well, but that I was personally in need of a change, that I wanted to start doing some other things with my life and with my company outside of running the day-to-day of Sense of Style. And yet I felt incredibly bound by what I'd created, almost to the point that I didn't think I had a choice. That I felt bound by this creation. I felt responsible for it, just like it was another child. I felt responsible to my employees and making sure that their paychecks hit every month and that they could call this place Sense of Style somewhere that they were proud to work. And so I felt bound and I didn't know what to do, but the stress continued to build. And last year, in a year's time alone, I got shingles and I was in bed for nearly a month. I cracked 2 crowns in my mouth from grinding my teeth at night, and I had more migraine headaches than I wanted to admit, because it was as if my body was screaming out to me that I needed to make a change, that the fast pace that I was going at was not going to work anymore because I had depleted my resources down, my inner resources, my health, my emotional health, my mental health, down to a place that I was running on empty. It's really hard to admit out loud to you. But for most of 2018, I was running on empty, and yet I felt like I had no choice in the matter. That I had to continue to go at the pace I was going, make the choices I was making, and quite honestly, be sad. And just continue kind of in the inertia that was my life. This all came to a head on September 30th of 2018. When I was driving with my husband home to Utah from Idaho, where I had been visiting my mom for the weekend. And in a moment that I can only say was divinely inspired, I looked at my husband and I said, what if I didn't come into work tomorrow, but I went on a trip instead? And if any of you know John or follow us on social media, you know that he is the most supportive partner of all time. And he looked at me and he said, I think that's a really good idea. Now, my timing wasn't great. The next day started October 1st, and if you know anything about the retail cycles of the United States, and when you sell consumer goods like women's fashion, you make a lot of your money in the fourth quarter, October, November, and December. And here I was asking to take a step back and to go on a trip by myself as our fourth quarter began. We got home that day and I bought a solo ticket to London, England, a place that I had wanted to go for a really long time, for 8 days, so that I could go and be by myself and figure out what I needed and perhaps fill my own well a little bit. Why London? Why didn't I just stay home? Well, 1, I'd wanted to go there for a long time. 2, I don't know why. Again, divinely inspired, I think. And 3, I needed space. Space and distance, space and time, space and responsibility in order to think. If I had stayed home, I would have gotten right back in to the everyday of Sense of Style, into the must-dos and the must-haves of children and home and work. This quite literally gave me distance in time and distance in routine in order to think. So I got on an airplane and I went to London, and basically I walked a lot, I thought a lot, I wrote a lot, I prayed a lot, and I meditated. And the gift of that week was I realized how depleted I was, how tired I was, how exhausted I was. And yes, I'm incredibly proud of Sense of Style. And yes, I'm incredibly proud of my family and the life we live and my children. But I realized that I had given so much of myself that I was quite literally on the brink of a mental breakdown and exhaustion because I was not filling myself back up. I was not taking the time. I had some very spiritual experiences in London in which my message from above was not to go back to Sense of Style in the fall when I got home for that fourth quarter, but to stay at home and to heal. I went looking for a message and I got it, and it wasn't the message I wanted. In fact, that message made me feel like a failure. It made me feel like I was turning my back on my responsibilities. And yet somehow I knew it's exactly what I needed to do because I was so incredibly depleted. So that's what I did. I got home from London and I asked John to step in as the interim president for Sense of Style. And I stayed at home last fall. And I wrote and I prayed. And I slept a lot. And I cooked dinner, and I did homework, and I went to kids' activities, and I didn't do a lot else. And that's a very big change for a woman that had spent 12 years building a multi-million-dollar company. But what I realized in London was that I had to make a change for myself. That I was the one that had to choose to change my life. That no one else was going to make that choice for me. No one else was going to say, Courtney, slow down. Courtney, fill up your own well. Courtney, act every day. Take care of yourself every day. You are exhausted. That had to come from within so that I truly understood it. I had to be the one that had to recognize the change first and then act. And what I want to talk to you about today, not only sharing this story, but is to tell you what I learned last fall about the daily acts that we have to engage in order to replenish ourselves. The things that we can do on a habitual and repetitive basis that can take us from a state of exhaustion and depletion to build us back up day by day so that perhaps you don't have to get to a place where you had to get on an airplane in a quite dramatic fashion, take a step back from your life like I did. And yet I'm super grateful that I had that time, that space to think and write and determine next steps. So I want to talk about daily habits that we can create to replenish ourselves after being depleted. These are things that I've started doing on a daily basis in order to continue to build myself back up and to build my inner well so that I can be of the best service to myself, my family, my company, and to the world. The biggest thing about that, though, is what I said before. It's our choice and responsibility. It's not on anyone else. We have to be the ones to make the choice and to change. So the big event of London was helpful, but really the thing that has brought me back to life were the daily changes that I decided to make. They're small and they're simple, but they have helped me beyond measure. We're habitual beings as humans. We love our habits. We love homeostasis. In fact, Charles Duhigg in his book, The Power of Habit, says that about 80% of our daily decisions are habitual. So in order for us to make changes in our life, we have to change those daily habits and those daily decisions. So I want to talk to you about what I've started doing every single morning in order to replenish myself and the impact it has had on me. I call this my daily trifecta of self-love and self-replenishment. And sometimes I write it in a journal, and sometimes I say it out loud to John. One of our rituals as we're driving into the office is to say these things out loud to one another, and I call it my daily trifecta. The first thing in the daily trifecta is to say 3 things you're grateful for that day. Now, why start with gratitude? Gratitude is the most powerful force in this universe for us to get out of our own heads from the lack and into the abundance of what we already have. To start looking at what is working in our lives instead of what isn't working. And we can start with gratitude. And it can be super simple, but 3 things to begin the daily trifecta, the daily ritual. 3 things you're grateful for that day. It could be that the sun's shining, or that the air is clean and you can see the mountains. It could be that you put on bright lipstick, or that your kids picked up their rooms. It could be that you have a girls' night planned for that night. Just anything that you're grateful for. And if you can connect it to the feeling it brings within you, not just saying, I'm grateful for sunshine, but saying, I'm grateful for sunshine because it makes me smile and it lights me up from within. Can you feel the difference in that? I'm grateful for sunshine. I'm grateful for sunshine because it makes me feel alive, and I love that I get to be alive right now. So start by writing 3 things you're grateful for you to recognize all the good that is already occurring in your life. The second part of the daily trifecta is to say out loud or to write down 3 accomplishments or brag about yourself a little bit. And for women, this is so hard. It is super difficult for us to say out loud or even on paper, even to ourselves, the things that we have accomplished, the things we're proud of in ourselves, the things that we can brag about that make us unique and special. Now, why is this important? Why don't we just stop at the gratitudes? Well, what I have found, especially for women, is when we can take a moment to realize what we've already accomplished in life, to talk about and brag about ourselves a little, it builds self-confidence. It says, you know what? I did do that. And because I did that before, I can do it again. So 3 things that you're proud of in yourself. And that might be really hard. It's really difficult for me to do, but I do it every single day. And sometimes it takes me a while to get through. And sometimes I have to stick to the accomplishments of my husband and my children or my company because it's too hard to think of something in myself. But then I have to remind myself that when my child has an accomplishment, like getting first on the pommel horse in his meet 2 weeks ago, yeah, that's my kid. That I have to say to myself, I was the one that saw his love of gymnastics and put him in. I get to be the one that drives him every week and supports him and cheers him on and shows up at the meets. And that's my accomplishment in it. You have done great things and accomplished things with your life, things that you should be proud of and that you can brag about. That doesn't make you selfish. That just allows you to realize how awesome you are, to feel some self-love and fill yourself back up after feeling depleted by life and by circumstances. So start with gratitudes, 3 things, and then tell yourself 3 things that you're proud of, that you've accomplished. Whew, and it's hard. Things that you can brag about. I think as women, we feel like if we say something good about ourselves, it diminishes another. And that's absolutely not true. In fact, saying something good about ourselves only builds to the good of the world, only brings more abundance of self and abundance to others. But when we sit around feeling like we're no good and we've never done anything good, then our self-confidence continues to shrink. And we aren't able to move forward in the things that really we're supposed to do and fulfill our purpose in life. So start with gratitudes. And then the second part of the daily trifecta is to write or say out loud 3 things you can brag or you're proud of in yourself. And then the third part of that is to say out loud or to write down 3 things you desire, 3 things you want, 3 things that you think would make you feel better. Again, as women, it's very hard for us to say what we want. We think that it makes us selfish. But you know what? That's a false belief. Taking care of ourselves knowing what we want in life and where we want to go actually gets us there. Having a vision for our life and putting it out there makes it happen because we know where we're going. So the third part of the daily trifecta is to say what you want. It could be as simple as how you want to feel that day, to the amount of money you want to bring in, to someone you want to meet or somewhere you want to go. But speak the words, write the words down, because if you just keep them up here or pretend like they don't exist, how are they ever going to come true? What you want in life is important. Who you are is important. You have a purpose and a plan for which we all need you, but we need you to own who you are and to say it out loud. These daily simple acts turned my life around. They turned me from feeling depleted and exhausted, from me basically having to walk away from my life, from my company for 3 months to rejuvenate, to allow me little bit by little bit every day to build my own self-confidence and gratitude about what was already going right in my life, because there was so much. And for me to realize that things are better, often way better than we make them out to be. And here's where the magic comes in. When we start seeing the good in our own lives, seeing all that's going right instead of all that's going wrong, the good expands. More good comes into our lives. It's that universal law of attraction that where our energy goes, energy flows. So if we're focusing on everything that's going wrong in our lives and how sad we are and how depleted we are, guess what we're going to feel? Sad and depleted. But if we can focus on even the little things that are going right, like that your son gave you a hug before you left for school this morning, or that you had a beautiful, delicious dinner prepared, and that you accomplished that, we start building ourselves back up so that we can be bolder, fuller versions of ourselves, and we can help change this world by just being us. Focus on what you want and not on what you don't want. Focus your energy on what you already have and the abundantly beautiful life you already have, and see how many more opportunities and excitement and goodness comes back to you. Now, this isn't quite the end of the daily trifecta, because after I stated those things out loud, I write 3 actions I'm going to make that day to get me closer to those desires. Because yes, it's important to say what we want and say them out loud, but then we have to act. So 3 things, and they could even be little. They could be make a phone call, write an email, tell someone you love them, write a thank you note, sign up for the class, go walk around Target because you need a little self-care. But 3 actions that will get you closer to those desires. And the last part of this daily ritual of mine that helps build myself back up and that will help you build yourself back up is to set a daily intention. My intention for the day. And this is not something you're going to do. This is not an action. We already stated to write 3 small actions you're going to get done that day. This is how do you intend to feel. Today, on this day that I'm recording this I Am Mom Summit keynote, my intention is to receive some guidance. I have some big questions that I need guidance on. And so I've asked for that intention. And because I've asked for that intention, I've set time aside in order to study and meditate and pray in hopes of getting some answers, getting some guidance. I have a call in to a dear friend in order to talk with her to get that guidance. And this all came because my intention was for guidance today. Some days my intention is for peace. Some days it's just to be, to allow for whatever comes into life and to take it, knowing that it's teaching me and helping me grow. So let's recap. I've talked about some daily habits, so very simple daily acts that will help replenish you little by little by little every day and I call it my daily trifecta. That is to say or write 3 gratitudes, 3 things you've accomplished, and 3 things you want. And then follow up with 3 actions you're going to take and finish it out with your daily intention. I promise you, from my own experience, that having this daily habit that I have created has helped me see a bigger picture, help me see the positive, help me build myself back up little by little every day and choosing the life that I want to create and not feeling bound by the life I had or have, but by choosing by small action upon small action, by one thought after another about what I want, about the good and not the bad. I just want to close by telling you that I see you, that we're more alike than we are different. I see you. I see how hard you work. I see how you do your best every day and that you give and give and give of yourself. And I see that you need replenishment. I see that it's very easy to get depleted when you are juggling as many balls in the air as you are. And my ask of you is to see yourself, to see how much you have to offer this world, and that to know for you to offer who you are and as big and beautiful and bold as you are to this world, you cannot be exhausted. You cannot be depleted. You need to do those things every day that fill you up. Because can you imagine a world in which every mom you encountered loved who she is, loved the life she had, and it radiated from the inside of her out? Can you imagine the ripple effect that would be in our communities, in the country, in our world? That would be a revolution. That is the revolution I'm looking for. A revolution of self-love, of self-acceptance, of self-confidence, knowing that you are right where you need to be in the world and that you are working to be something even bigger and better in order to serve yourself, your family, and this world. Thank you so much. I see you. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the I Am Mom Summit. Know that you're doing a great job, and I see you. Feel free to follow me, Courtney Brown, on Instagram at cbrownthink, or Sense of Style at Sense of Style on Instagram, at Sense of Style on Facebook, or come on over to mysenseofstyle.com and see what we are doing to make you look, feel, and do good in your life. Thank you so much.